Hello, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. This is my podcast, and we are going to talk about something that, listen, we are going through some really tough times. And they're bad times. They're wicked times. They are times where we need to plan our financial strength and our financial future. So there are 4 things that I want you to do before the end of the year. The faster the better, because we don't know what's going to happen in this crazy world, so we need to be prepared. Now, these are fairly simple things, but they're things that you probably don't want to think about or talk about. So the first one, number 1, you guys need a will and a trust. And if you haven't done it yet, it's time that you do. These are crazy times, and we don't know in which direction it's going, but we need to have your assets protected, your family protected. And you need to do it fairly soon. Every family needs to have a will and a trust, so that all of your assets are known, all of your assets divisions are known, who is responsible for when the time that you need help, or after you die. You need to know who that administrator is going to be. You need to know the tax issues. There are lots of things that you need to do with this trust and estate and will. I'm going to tell you my story, and that is when my mom was planning her will and trust. We both sat down together. And we gave her options because we had to have a health directive which said, okay, in case I should become incapacitated, who is going to make those decisions for me? And what type of decisions are to be made? And we needed to sit down and talk about the assets and who's going to divide it and who's going to get what. So we sat down and we put together a trust, and I did it for her, and we had everything notarized, everything was signed and everything. Now, she had a house, but she forgot to mention one thing, that there were 2 pieces to that house. There was a lot 1 and a lot 2. Now, she had gotten married, and her husband, who had now passed away, she had put him on as the owner of that second lot. Now, she thought that when he passed away, it would automatically revert over to the trust, but it didn't. So I was trying to sell a house based on one single lot, not knowing there were 2. The best approach should have been for me to ask the question, are there any other properties associated with this estate? But the problem is that she forgot about it. Because she was old, she was 89, and it was at that time where she wasn't feeling very well, and she made the decision on what assets she wanted to be listed. So anyway, when she passed away, I had to put that into probate. I had to put the house into probate because we found out that there was that extra lot that was still in her husband's name, and the family wanted money. They wanted $9,000 for me to buy that property and put it back into the trust. And I needed to do it because it was one single property, because we had put sheds, we had put gardens, we had done everything on that second piece of property, so I had to do it. But if I would have known, I could have, prior to her passing away, we could have changed that back over into her name. The house, when she passed away, had the husband's name on it, but when he died, it automatically changed over to fully hers. But that lot didn't, because of the way it was written and how it was filed with the county of Pickens, South Carolina. So there are things that you need to know. If there's any type of confusion, you can grind it out now and find out exactly what needs to be listed. Because you don't want it to go into probate. Do you know, it took me 3 years of probate. 3 years of probate, just trying to get everything transferred and everything done. And then finally, and I want to tell you, when you are the administrator of a will and a trust, people don't like you. Your relatives don't like you because they, for some reason, they think that you're taking all the money. Even though I paid that $9,000 out of my own pocket to pay for that extra piece of property to move it back into the estate, they don't care about that. They just want their money. Money becomes the evil of the destruction of a family. I'm telling you. So when you have everything in writing, everything's clear, it makes it so much better. So I want each and every single one of you to sit down and put together your will and trust. Okay? It's very important. Very important. Now, a lot of you, I have friends, I keep reminding to do this all the time, but they never listen to me. Oh, yes, we need to do that. Yes, we need to do that. But they never do it. So you guys be better than my friends, and you guys go out and do it. That's what needs to happen. Secondly, taxes. You should not be talking to your tax accountant just one time a year when you guys go in and do that. Things change during the course of the year that you need to tell your tax accountant about. Example, you got married. So now there's a lot of things that need to be changed. Social security names, everything. Things onto the will and trust. Everything needs to be changed. If you have a child, that changes too. That then becomes part of the will and the trust. So you have all of this stuff. So you should not be talking to your tax accountant just once a year. By the way, you guys are getting hit hard on 401ks. I mean, those investments are dwindling down to about nothing. So you need to be talking to your accountant on how this will be reflected tax-wise. Is it going to hurt you tax-wise? What is it all about that's going to affect your personal finances? The third thing I want you to do, and I hope that you guys are doing it, is you guys need to be doing a budget every single month. You need to be looking at what you budgeted and what you actually spent against that budget. Because right now, money is going to be tight, and it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter over the next 2 years. We are in a recession, and money is going to get tight, and jobs are going to get tighter. And some of you may even be laid off because that's the trend at the moment that we're seeing happening in the corporate world. They are trying to trim down their expenses, and wages are the first thing. I say that a lot, and you probably are going to say, why is he saying this all the time? It's because I want you to be warned. I want you to think about it. I want you to be prepared. Okay? So we've talked about the will. We've talked about your tax accountant. We've talked about you budgeting. Then the last part of this, which is so important, whoever is handling your 401ks or your IRA, sit down with that professional and say, is there anything different that I can do with my investment, with my money? Because listen, I have been in this situation where I had a 401k plan with a prior employer. And two things happened. One, we had a recession just like this. I lost everything in there. I had a negative $30,000 in there. I had a negative amount in my 401k plan. You don't want to get to that stage, so you need to sit down and talk to your professionals. The second thing happened is that the company I had worked for had put money into my 401k plan. However, they went out of business. When I was looking at it, I got a notice saying, hey, you have money sitting in a 401k plan. I said, really? I didn't know about that. Because I had forgotten. It's over 30 years ago. That company went out of business. I can't find anybody associated with that 401k plan. So I don't know where that money is. I don't know what happened to that money. It's gone. So learn from my experience. When you're going through a tough time, we're going through inflation and going through a recession, and you know that companies may go out of business, find out how well your 401k plan is protected and what you invested in at the moment that you can put into a more stable investment. So sit down with your 401k professional and go over the process. If you do a lot of these different things that we've talked about, the four things that I've talked about, you will be better prepared to face a recession. You will be better prepared in case a significant event happens in your life that you need to have your family protected. So, put together your will and your trust. Sit down with your tax accountant. Plan your budgeting. By the way, I'm going to give you a free link to a budget that it's an Excel spreadsheet that I have online at my website. And it's free of charge. There's no ties to it. Nothing. I don't even collect your email address. Okay, so it's just there for you to use. And there's also, and I'll give you that webpage that it's on. And there's also some other forms that you can look up what your net worth is and everything else. So there are tools there that are free to use, and I suggest that you use them. And then to sit down with your 401k individual, your professional, and say, is there anything else that I can do to protect my money? Because I tell you, it can go in the blink of an eye. And that money that you set up is for your retirement or for a rainy day that you need to buy a home. But and there are rules to that too. So sit down with your tax accountant, discuss all this stuff. Sit down with your attorney, discuss all of your wills and estates and all of your assets and everything. Get everything in line. Get everything cleaned up in 2022. 2022 should be your financial cleanup year because it's going to get tough out there for 2022 and into 2023. If you do these 4 things, you'll be at least one step ahead of the game. Because when you're short on cash, you go nutso. I know, I've been there, I've lived through it, and I've advised people through it. The better prepared you are, the better that you can manage your cash flow, better you can manage your assets, and better that you can manage your liabilities. Okay? Now, I want to mention one other thing. And this goes out to all of the divorced individuals who have children together, or if you're not married and have a child with another person, you need to sit down and put together a parenting plan and review that parenting plan from year to year. And make sure that you hire a mediator such as myself to sit down and work out details that you have with your co-parent. It's so important. So important. So I gave you a 5th bonus, okay? If you're divorced, or if you are separated, or if you are if you're a parent of a child but you're not married, sit down and put a parenting plan together. And I'll give you a link to that also where you can contact me on that. Protect your children. Okay, make sure that they're covered by their insurance and whatever else happens, their education and their extracurricular activities. Everything needs to be addressed, but especially on the health care. Listen, this is Mike Lodge. If you want to have more access to me, just go to my website, which is www.lodge-co.com. And you can also find a place where you can buy me a coffee. I greatly appreciate it if you buy me a coffee. I love it. But now we're going through this tough time, and a lot of you have never gone through this before. I have gone through 2 of these, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. But we can get through this. But you just need to plan for it. This is Mike Lodge. I am the Business Advisor. Talk with you soon. God bless. Bye-bye.